All right, thanks for joining us for another trading webinar, where we try to bring you a wide variety of new trading ideas and tools. As always, my name is Keith, here with Shark Indicators. We've been involved in the NinjaTrader ecosystem since 2011, providing tools like Bloodhound that help traders be more productive and in control of their own trade systems. We're always looking for ways to add to the trader's toolkit, and this webinar is part of that mission. So today we have Julie Wade. She is a systems developer and independent software vendor for the NinjaTrader ecosystem. Julie's Bloodhound trading templates are constructed to detect repeatable patterns using higher time frame trend, lower time frame momentum, and linear regression. Recently, she added parameter ranges to the methodology, incorporating statistical levels that provide targets for intraday trading. She provides an educational trading room 3 days a week to support customers with acclimating to the trading software and methodology. We're happy to have her as always.
Okay. Hey, Keith. Thank you so much. Hey, guys. Thanks for coming out. I see a couple of you guys from the of my members. I appreciate your coming out and attending today. Just wanted to start out showing you this picture I found, and I love this picture, and it ties in with what we're going to be talking about. You know, I looked at that board that they're looking at, and I'm thinking, what the heck are they going to have theory, mathematical theory or something that maybe has just been proved. And getting proved is very important in math. I don't know if you know about that. Proofs provide a solid foundation for mathematicians, statisticians, economists, architects, engineers, others like traders to test their theories on. And once proved, a mathematical theory provides the rules of the game for everyone else going forward. So it's a very, very, very big deal. Proven theorems provide the building blocks to build mathematics, or you can build trading strategies, right? Yes, yes, yes. And so that's what we're going to be looking at today. I'm Julie with JATS-PT Trading Strategies, and I've been trading and testing trade logic for about 10 years now. I started out with a pretty basic theory for using the higher time frame trend with momentum, and I remember asking Jeremy, quite a few years ago, if he thought I would be called out as being too simplistic to start with that, and he said, no, when you find something that works, you have to use it. So I knew that by incorporating that weekly, daily, 60, 15-minute data on the NinjaTrader market analyzer in real time would provide the basis for my directional trading, and I've been using that pretty much ever since. I wanted just to quickly mention that I could not have done any of the things that I've accomplished over the last 5 years without the NinjaTrader platform or Bloodhound and BlackBird add-ons. These platforms recently were updated about a year and a half ago. And so there has been a little bit of a process for all of us to get our indicators and strategies, and of course the platforms to get the architecture updated. And so Shark Indicators has spent a good year or more getting Bloodhound and BlackBird up and running with the new NinjaTrader architecture. And that work is just now about complete. So I appreciate all the hard work put in by NinjaTrader and Shark Indicators to give us this first-class trading platform to build our strategies on and trade with. I do think that we're using, first-in-class platforms. And before I move on into the presentation, I just also want to say the technical support is excellent. I cannot tell you how often both NinjaTrader and Shark Indicators have been there to support me throughout the years, as well as my customers. I think they provide a ton of educational material for you guys, and you can usually get someone to help you in an emergency the same day or the next day if you find yourself in trouble. But there's no doubt that there's over 60,000 active traders using this platform, and for a very good reason. We're going to start out with looking at the disclaimers, of course. The webinars are for educational purposes. I'm not advising that you go out and buy or sell any instrument from this material. You're responsible for your investment decisions, and please note that futures trading contains substantial risk and is not for every investor. You can lose your risk capital, so only trade risk capital for that reason. And past performance always is not necessarily indicative of future results, which leads us into the hypothetical performance disclaimer. And this, slide just basically means that we're going to be talking about statistical averages. And one of the things that you need to know about an average is that we're going to be concentrating on a standard 14-period range. That doesn't mean that every bar is the same size. So you're going to have ranges expanding and contracting. So even though we have an average, there can be an outlier event happen where you get out of kilter. So just realize that the screenshots that we've seen in no way is going to represent what we might see on our trading screen tomorrow. We just have to be prepared with that in mind. Okay, so here's the agenda for today. I've incorporated a new system with my methodology of linear regression, momentum, and higher time frame trend, and that is with these parameter ranges. This term, parameter ranges, was coined by Wells Wilder in his book, and we'll be looking at that in just a few minutes. New Concepts in Technical Trading. It actually was written in '78, so the concept has been around for a while, but this is sort of an arcane book. You can't really find it. It's kind of difficult to find. So, but he doesn't go into great depth on it. But what he honed in on was that these statistical bell curve areas, a proven mathematical theory, something that's been proven that you can build your, trading strategies off of, has already been proven. So these, once you understand the concept of that if we're in a normal data distribution, then we can lean on that area being consistent. So we'll go into parameter ranges, profit targets 1, 2, and 3, the way I've broken them down of that range period, which you can customize. And then we'll go into Bloodhound and BlackBird for a demonstration. And then, of course, for new Bloodhound users or BlackBird users, you can have a 15% savings on Bloodhound or BlackBird with an annual subscription to either the indicators or template package. So let's get going. Here is Mr. Wilder and his definition from his book about parameter ranges. And he starts out by saying that there's an infinite number of systems available just with this simple concept. And it's so true. So the first thing that he focused in on was that price is going to contract around 30% of that range, whether it is a 30-minute bar or a daily bar. So when you get to that 30% area, you're going to be looking for that retracement. And so this is very simplistic, but this is so accurate. And it's from the statistical boundaries of this bell curve that we're going to be looking at. So keep that in mind. All of this going forward comes from his realization that the bell curve really controls how price action operates. And if I can get the pen here, let's see how I get the spotlight here. Does this work? Okay. So here we see the bell curve, and the top part of this bell curve is the highest area of the most data. So that represents your high volume node. And then price will leave and expand out, going from one standard deviation, 68.2, which comprises equally both halves of that 68.2, to the second deviation. So a lot of traders will wait to enter the market until they get, I get that spotlight going again, they'll wait till price gets to one of these two levels and they'll trade to this second deviation, right? So a lot of traders like to do that. They'll just choo-choo train from the first to the second, and they just stay out of that middle part. And so let's clear all of this. Okay. So this basically, in a nutshell, is market profile. And if you can understand the bell curve, you can understand market profile. So very interesting concepts. 3 standard deviations, 68, 95, 99, and there's not much room between the second and the third. So that between that 95 and 99, for all intents and purposes, I have just clumped into one area. So we'll get to another slide in just a second. But so when you get to that second deviation, anytime you get between 2 and 3, traders are also looking for price in a normal data distribution to return back to the mean. So this is a good location to find your reversion to the mean trades. So if you have a indicator like the LRT lines indicator, you can use this knowledge of when price gets out into this area to go back inside the range, and you're looking for it to go back to the middle part. Maybe I can move these out of the way. There we go. Or move back to the middle, or actually go to the other end. So you can have a coast to coast. So here is the way that Wells Walder did his bell curve. He recommended that people watch for that 28 to 32% area for the top of the range and look for that pullback once price got to that point. He was jumping the gun at 28%, and he said if it gets a little bit over, not to worry. I actually use the full 34%, but you get the point. The bell curve analogy in trading works time and time and time again. It's a proven theory, and that's just the way that price moves. So once we understand that, we can put 1, 2, and 3 together. And like I said, I didn't do too well with math. I worked for lawyers, not with mathematicians. So I clumped my 1, 2, and 3 a little bit differently because we're day traders. I wanted to take that 34% as my PT1. So my PT1 is half of the first standard deviation. My PT2 is the full 1 standard deviation of price action, and I've clumped my 3 in between the 2 and 3. If it gets to 95%, I feel like I've gotten 100%. So there, it's close enough in horseshoes and in trading. So I really liking these levels and have put together an indicator using it so that we can take from the prior day close to our profit target 1, 2, and 3 on a daily chart, and on a special time frame with the 3-hour trading session that is most heavily traded in the morning between 7:30 and 10:30 in the morning. You can take that same parameter range using a 14 period for that special session time, and also project out in the future your bell curve, your PT1, 2, and 3 from that. And we have been, testing this in the trade room now for a month or 2 or 3, and it hits these levels all the time. So it's very, very, very promising. And I have put the levels on the market analyzer. So now I've got the daily profit target 1, 2, and 3 from a prior day close. And also I've got the short-term 1, 2, and 3 for that special session time. So I know what my levels are that I'm going to trade to very early in the morning. So I have a spreadsheet, and I usually send a screenshot out with the trade room invite. But I'm going to go ahead and include the Excel spreadsheet in the package for my members. When I send you the indicator, you'll get the chart template, the updated market analyzer template, as well as the spreadsheet. So if you want, you can right click on your market analyzer and export the data. Or what I do is I just type in the number once the 7:30 open comes. This is Central Time. Just pop it in, and then I type in the 3 um, levels for my multipliers, and it provides the price. These are points. Sorry, the 54.25 are points, and the 28.50 are points. So it will go 28.50 points against whatever you're using it against, and you can use it off of a high or a low or an open or a close or a VWAP or an EMA, anything, that, like Wells Wilder said, that, the possibilities are, just anything that you want to bounce this off of. I wouldn't get so arcane that you're projecting things that will never get hit. The goal is you want to find levels that get hit, repeatedly and consistently, so that you can capture these profit targets. And I will show you how I use this in Bloodhound and BlackBird in just a minute. Here's the way it looks on the chart. And this was from this morning's session. So you recognize that I have my Globex session on the opening range indicator in the dark color blue. For the overnight session, you get your 1 hour initial balance area. This was a 5-minute chart, so you had the 5-minute opening range in the middle. But you see that price came down first to this PT1 level, and then went back to the LR4, which was a good place to pick up another trade down. And then it went down to the daily PT1. And then it bounced just like flipping a dime off of a pavement and went back into the range. So there it hit the target and it went back into the range. It's doing exactly what the bell curve said it was going to do. And so it's, this has really been great to have. It's like having both a map of where you're going in the market. So now we know the direction. We've got the market analyzer showing us whether the higher time frame trend is bullish or bearish in the momentum. If you see zeros in the market analyzer, that means the market's flat. And like today, the market was flat most of the time. There was no edge, and you see that by this flat linear regression band. But you'll see, a directional bias, and you can trade to these targets. So we have both a map and a cipher. Another thing I want you to notice on this chart, on the right edge over here, you see the 3 levels. So you see the PT1, 2, and 3 very clearly right here. So you'll know on a 5-minute chart, just like you would a 30-minute chart or a 3-hour session template or a daily chart, what those ranges are for a 5-minute chart. You can approximate, going back and looking at this over a historical period, or go back and look at the last 14 days, and you can get some averages, of what those levels are for a 5-minute chart versus a 30-minute chart. These multipliers are going to be different. Okay, so you're not going to have the same multipliers on different chart sizes, just like you don't have the same ATR on different chart sizes. So you'll get used to the fact that on your chart size that you like trading, if you like trading a 5-minute chart, anything you can say above a 5 period, 5 level PT2, you could get very interested in maybe taking an outlier or looking for that reversal. Your interest is going to get piqued because it's above your average. So you'll get used to looking at this, get used to your levels, and you'll just have that much more information and be that much more confident in trading to a location or a level. The last thing I want to look at or point out to you before we look at the live charts is the slope of this indicator. When the range expands, the slope is going to move higher, and that is just like the ATR. When the range contracts, the slope is going to move down. And so if you're looking to trade a contracting range, excuse me, I said contracting, I didn't mean to say that. If you're looking to trade an expanding range only and not take the contraction, then you can set this up to trade the slope of this indicator also, and that's working out really well. If you notice on this down move, you see that it was moving up for the range was expanding. Just like ATR, it's non-directional. So you would have to use the shark indicator's long short modifier to be able to get the correct direction. But you just want to know that the range is expanding maybe for your strategy, and capture the shorts during that time. One thing also as a caveat that I must just warn you about, the equity indexes will melt higher on low volume, low range. So when the ranges are contracting or flat and there's no volume, that doesn't mean that the equity indexes are not going to go higher. In fact, most of 2018 or was spent on that low volume contraction range melt up. It drives me nuts. I would prefer that when the range is expanding, you're going to get the price movement. It's so much easier to see. And when we get to the live chart, I'm going to point that out today, that you see that you would really never in fear of a sell-off because the range no longer expanded at any point today to the downside. I mean, you never had a downside candle with a range expansion. The range was contracting the rest of the day, the rest of the session, and we'll see that on the live chart. So you really weren't concerned about selling this market at all. In fact, you would be looking for fading those bottom areas. So let's look at the live charts so that we can see what happened today. This was this morning's price action as it moved down to that PT1 with that range expansion, and then each time it approached that level, the range never expanded again. It was contracting. And so my rule that I use personally, that I'm, just for my observation of the price action, is that you really want to have an expanding range to go short. If it is contracting or flat, it can still go long, but definitely it won't go short very far if it's sloping down. So you don't get as nervous about these down moves unless you see it start expanding. So I think that's very helpful. Here's the slope that I'm talking about, and it's so cool. You see that we first had that initial flush down this morning, that it went right to my daily PT1. First hit my 7:30 PT1, and then it bounced back to the 4, and then it sold off again, and we were in an expanding rising range. And then each time it came down to test this area, it never expanded again. The range contracted. It kept falling. So that's extremely exciting for me to realize that I don't have to worry about price getting out of control or anything down here. I can wait for it to turn around and know where I'm going before I get involved in the market. So I've got some templates set up to trade this slope and to show you how to do that. It's pretty easy. But so the rule again is, you know, the crazy thing that drives me nuts about the equity indexes is they will melt up, as I call it, on low flat range, no volume. They'll just melt up. And I prefer to wait so that I can visually see that range expansion, preferably so that we can get a trade in. So I put together a quick little template for you guys to show you how to get, you know, in some of these trades on the high longs. And I'm going to give you this template. I'll just go ahead and give it to you. It's not going to be black boxed or anything. That way you can get used to using the indicator, because it's just coded to this indicator. And again, you'll have to get used to your threshold levels, because if you at least require something for it to be above before it takes a trade, that way you don't get into the weeds. If it's sitting there just slogging around, you don't necessarily want to be trading that. But you don't have to have the threshold levels, but let me put them in there. And so I have various different templates. The high shorts. See, the range started expanding here and it went short. I just wanted to give you the raw signal on momentum, but the bar wasn't in the right direction yet. So there's a way for you to filter out directional trades so that it's not picking up a high bar close versus a just a regular bar, because this is a Heikin-Ashi bar. You can put an Heikin-Ashi short on here. And I've got you a Heikin-Ashi short right there. And so that would require the bar to be short, and that you would not get that signal, even though it was a valid signal for a range expansion, because I'm using a Heikin-Ashi bar versus a regular bar. I got saved from making a mistake and trying to short at that location. So that's another reason that I like the Heikin-Ashis. I just wanted to point that out to you. Right? Okay. Otherwise, you can save your time to get, you know, here was a little uptick. That's why they tried to get short right there. But high both. And this you would use if you were letting BlackBird take your trades for you. So you can set BlackBird whether you want to enable longs or shorts. You wouldn't want to trade this template like this. You would want to trade one or the other in using BlackBirds. Here are the low longs. These are just low range longs. And this shows you demonstrably well what I was just telling you, that the indexes will melt up on these low longs, and it is infuriating to me because it's opposite of what you would expect to see happen. And here's a high-low both. So when I talk about high and low ranges. And again, I would not trade this template like this. I would directionally trade long or short, depending upon what your market analyzer was telling you in BlackBird, by selecting probably longs only, because, and here's high-low longs, because your market analyzer is long right now, weekly, daily, 60, 15, all green. So you would just be looking for the longs. When earlier this morning, it was not all green, it was mixed. So these would not have applied, but in fact, you would have been shorting this morning. And high-low, and then this outside high, I've got that set up for you. This will put this down on a 2-minute. Let me put the slow channels back on the LRT lines. Okay, here we go. So you can see when you get outside a band, you can set this to go with the high or high range. So I've got high range, making sure the range is expanding, coming back in out of a level, or up or down. So I think that is helpful for these out of bound areas. And again, this is, you can set this up. I've just got this set up on the slope with an upper 3 or lower 3 with the LRT lines. So this is for my complete package members who have the LRT lines indicator. So that's kind of cool. So we can now incorporate the range expansion with that, and these are highs. I haven't put one together on a low melt up for longs, but I will need to do so, especially given this is the equity index, and it will go long on a low as well. But definitely short if you are looking for something coming back into the middle of your band or to the opposite band, like this was the you know, took its time to get there, but that was your coast to coast, and then it goes back up. Okay, so there's the little Bloodhound template, and in Bloodhound, you can see in the indicator the way that it's set up. When you access the plot, it's very easy to use. You would just change the period you want to use. 14 is a pretty standard period, but if you want to use a 20 period or a 50 period, you can even put it on a 100 period. So it oscillates between 0 and 100. And you can choose to use PT 1, 2, or 3. And that's about it. And it's all set up for you. The threshold, again, is very easy. You get to understand your range. Let's see, this is, there it is. You get to understand your multipliers for your time frame. And so if you only wanted to see longs above a certain threshold, you can change that. So if you wanted to have longs above a 3 or a 2.5, you can do that so that you would get a stronger signal, perhaps, leading you to believe that you're going to get more of a stronger opportunity. You see how that works? So you can squish this down and get your local control Q or whatever that is for your crosshairs and just guesstimate what those averages are, right? So you can see, and if you want to take like the third one off so that you can see the other two better, you can do that too. So let's take the third one off by just turning it to transparent. And let's make the PTO2 red because you don't like my green. So you can change the colors or do anything that you want to make it easier to see. So you're trying to get an average because the goal is to hit the level, right? Or to know that when you've exceeded the level that the price is either moving for a short-term gain, or if you're at an outer bound area on the JATS LRT lines, you want to take that turn back into the mean. So I find this is just going to be providing us all kinds of trading opportunities, combining this with the knowledge of what we have with our opening range indicator and our LRT bands, and now combining this little great tool is going to give us even more of an edge. Putting the strategies together and discretionary trading it in a live market. So I'm sure I've got a couple of questions. Let me see if I can find the question box. Here we go. Yeah, Anthony, thank you. I'm using the signal blockers and the long sharp modifiers. Thank you, Anthony. So again, the signal on the PT indicator is going to be like the ATR. You're going to get a, it's really meaningless. It's not going to be, it doesn't do what you think it's doing. So you've got to use the long short modifier. And this will be in the, well, if you're a complete package member, you'll get it. What you'll do is you'll put it on difference, and then you can put long or short or short and long. So short will get you that low range. See that? It's going low, but the price is still going high. Isn't that irritating? Oh, that's an equity index for you. So your range is contracting and there goes price. But you can change your long short modifier right here between long and short. And so here's your long, right? So there's your long range. And here's your short range. And you can just come up with your own combinations as you're doing. And then you match that with the direction that you want to go or a threshold. So like I said, you can limit it to saying I only want it to be above 4 and maybe at above, you know, a linear regression level and be looking for those reversals, or for strength, for direction. And so for direction, let me see, this was a long, so I need to put it back on long short. Range expansion. So for direction, excuse me, you just match it with bar direction and momentum and just put a signal blocker on it with bar direction. You can use a slope solver or a comp. I have it on here as a comp, comparing A to B and just putting a 1 displacement on it. And I'm comparing the exact same thing. I'm comparing PT1 to PT1. And now the slope for PT1 and 2 are going to be the same, interestingly. Very interesting how this works. I was like scratching my head when I was first, noticing this. So even though we have different threshold levels, it does not affect the slope. The slope is mirror imaged between 1 and 2. There may be a slight difference, and so I would recommend that you put an and or an or on there, an and node, if you want to require both of them to be in sync, just in case. I mean, if you got it really, really small bar, you might find a slight modification, but otherwise, if the one slope is going up, that 2 slope's going up too. And, vice versa. If it's going down together. So they run together. And just put a signal blocker on it and either your Heikin-Ashi or your bar direction. I've got a momentum bar on it. So again, you can filter out some of the extraneous noise by using a threshold solver and requiring a higher signal. Of course, you want to be, guys, you want to be going in the direction that the overall trend is going in whenever possible. So look at your market analyzer like you do in everyday trading. You want to be looking at it for, you should only be looking for longs right now because the market analyzer is telling you to go long. So we never even got back to the close. So the market is just now closed and we never hit that gap. So it'll be closing that gap overnight, most likely. Never even got back up there. We're in a very tiny range today. So let me put BlackBird on the chart real quick and we'll go through the settings for the strategy in BlackBird and how to use it. I use it bar close, on bar close true. Put the template on it real quick. And you can run this again with or without a Bloodhound template. For the signal, you can discretionary trade and just use your order sets. If you want to use the PT indicators as your targets. So again, ideally we have a roadmap of where we want to trade to, given to us in the mornings with our targets and risks, so we know where we're going, right? Where we're trying to get to. And it should be, you can draw lines on your chart and show yourself where you're trying to go to. And so you can use these along with your knowledge of what your multipliers are on the time frame that you like to use for targets and stops. And once you set this up, you can, of course, the functionality of BlackBird is wonderful. The indicator loads in at the bottom like an ATR does. So you would leave it on price up here and put your PT indicator down here, and here's where you would set your multiplier. And for the trailing actions, I don't have that one trailing. This one will trail. You can set it to move back to the OCO entry price once that target 1 was filled. So once you got your profit target 1, the 3 times the APT 1 filled, that stop will move back to break even. You can do anything you want. I mean, BlackBird is just infinite numbers of possibilities on trailing this, but it's super simple to put it in here. Use it like an ATR is what I'm trying to say. So you can, once you get it in, you can do the dynamic planning so that you can see where the ATR levels are. And if you don't like them, so like right here it says 225 and 475, if you don't like your dynamic planning, then you can yeah, just hit that. I don't know how to get that. I have to get with Zach to figure out if I'm how to get back out of there. You can change the multiplier, and so be sure to, like, this was set for a 3 multiplier, and this is 225, so you can see that that's sitting there. That may not be enough. If you get your calculator out and you know, what is, 1.5 times 2.25, you can see it's 3.38. So you may need to kick that up just a little bit, or for the stop loss, 3.5, something like that. So just use it like an ATR. Okay. Do y'all have any questions? For your high longs with the green look to be about the best. You can't say that because the equity indexes will go long on the down move. But I like the high highs. I like the high highs. Yep. I want the highs or the high lows. I mean the high shorts. I really do like that. I'd like, especially the high shorts. In fact, I was like, sort of like saying, where am I going to, when are we going to get that sell-off, right? Because I was, let me get this threshold off of there. Oops. I'm having troubles with this. Hang on one sec. Okay. No, I have a threshold in here. Let me get that out of there. There, this one. There we go. I'm messing up your template, guys, and I'm going to be sending you the high shorts. We definitely know the range starts expanding on those shorts. So I'm like ready to go. I'm ready to go in a sell-off with this. So, and the goal, of course, let me show you the tick chart. So like say you're trading a 5-minute chart and you know where you're trading to, right? You've got a level. You can't trade flat. So today and yesterday were horrible days to show you this example, but say you have a plan, you're trading to somewhere, you don't have to get 200 points or 100 ticks to be successful in trading. You can be damn successful trading 10 ticks if you know what you're doing, right? Or 20 ticks. So if you get a good signal at a good location, like around this 4, right? Any signal on a 4, and that's another thing that we can code in the trade room, is we can put, an LR4 on this signal and get, signals on the 4. So, just on the 4 going, that's a great location, just saying, for my LR4. Then you can put your profit target, you want to put your position sizing, there, and especially if you've got, the market telling you it's going short, load up for bear and take your trade and take your profits and get out. You don't have to sit there and just keep trading. My mistakes is I'll make a whole bunch of money and then I'll give it back because I'm just still trading, but the market's changed. Well, that was before I had this indicator, because now I can really see when price action changes and that market is just no longer conducive for shorts. It's flattened out so that you're not sitting there trying to push something to get somewhere. So to get back to my original train of thought is you really don't have to trade a mile to make money trading. You just have to have one or two good signals, get in and get out, and to be able to repeat this on a systematic basis. So I'm going to be trying to, adhere to a structured, I got my BlackBird messed up too, systematic basis in BlackBird for setting those profit targets and stop losses according to these
Hey, Julie, try
time
this.
frames.
At the top, click on Blackbird layout, and there's a way to reset it. Maybe it just got at the top middle of your chart.
Okay.
There's a way to reset it. See if that
Perfect.
helps.
Oh, perfect. There it is. Thank you very much. I need you guys to be in the trade room with me every day too. That would be awesome. But yeah, so BlackBird, when I use my risk and my reward on a consistent basis so that I can test this strategy out and try to come up with a methodology using all of these pieces together and now putting them together. The platform is working great. So Gary Bachman, if you hear this, come back, check it out. Everything seems to be stabilized. My high-low 2 template's working. Everything is working. So real happy about it. It seems to be very consistent. So now is the time to put all of our hard work over this last year into practice. It's like I've been waiting for this time to show up, and the time is here. So with my new discovery of how to put these ranges together, and again, you can control the range. If you want to use a 20 period, or if you want to use a 50 period or a 30 period, or a 5 period, whatever you want to use, you can make that modification in the indicator. But I've got the 3 settings just to keep it simple for us, and the goal of the using those statistical areas, the 1, 2, and 3, are going to remain consistent. But if you wanted to change that to a 20 period or a 100 period, anything oscillating between 0 and 100. And I just used 14 because it's pretty standard, and believe it or not, I think the algos are tied to 14 myself. So just from my experience on a larger time frame. So daily, if you're trading a 1-minute chart or a tick chart, you probably do want to expand that out some. And I don't see any more questions, so we've hit our hour. So I appreciate everybody. If you would like to come into the trade room Thursday or Friday and check this out in action, send me an email and I'll be glad to send you a link for the trade room. And come check it out. We're going to be, using the PT1 indicator now on the chart. Feel free to change your colors once you get it up on your charts. Put the 3 back on. I think the 3 is helpful just to show that 100% of that range. So you can definitely change the colors on it too. I like that about it. So I could put a go back and put maybe a green top on it. There you go, to show 100% of the range, but maybe a lighter green on a dark chart. But definitely see your 3 different levels and realize what your opportunities are for that risk and reward in a given time frame, and like on a 30-minute bar too. Don't forget, we can compare this. I like a 15-minute chart myself, but other people will like a 30-minute chart. See what those areas are on your higher time frame chart, and see if the algos are responding to those levels also. I definitely have seen that they respond to these daily levels, and it works remarkably well intraday on my custom time period. So I did get a little bit esoterical with that, choosing a custom time period to run this on, but it works great. It gives me a target to trade to, and you would be happily surprised that you want your targets to get hit. And by golly, I can pretty much say that my PT1s get hit a lot. And so today was just one of those flat nothing days. And you'll see that on the market analyzer. Like today, it was all zeros mainly. And just stay out of the market when it's not conducive for trading. We don't get good trading days every day of the week. So watch your economic indicators, watch your news, watch your price action, and don't hesitate to pull the trigger when you see the range expanding and you get one of your signals. So that's the name of the game, knowing, when is a good opportune time to get in the market and try for a trade, right? All right. Well, thank you guys so much. I appreciate it. And Keith, thank you again for having me. Let us know when the video is available, and I'll send it out to everyone in case you weren't here and you would just like to watch the screen playback.
Great. Thanks a lot, Julie. Yeah, everybody gives us good feedback about your presentations. So yeah, I appreciate you coming in and sharing what you have new with us.
Thank you so
much. We will be automatically sending out the recording to everybody who registered. So even if you couldn't make it the whole thing, you will get that email. Should be tonight at the latest tomorrow morning. If you don't receive it by then, check your spam folder, just in case. Okay. With that, I appreciate you guys coming in. If you have any further questions, reach out to Julie or to us if it's related to Bloodhound or BlackBird. Other than that, have a great day.